Hi guys, welcome to Tapping In Part 3. I'm Lisa and I will be going through tonight's webinar with you. First off, we will go through the acknowledgement of country. Hang on 1 second. So yes, welcome. 30-Foot Drop acknowledges the traditional owners of country throughout Australia and recognises their continuing connection to land, waters and community. We pay our respects to them and their cultures and to elders both past and present. Funding. 30-Foot Drop would like to acknowledge the Department of Communities Disability Services for funding this and many other initiatives. Without their support, so many projects such as Two Wise Monkeys would never see the light of day, and as a community we'd be much more poorer for it. This workshop is part of a Realities and Advantages of Access and Inclusion grant awarded to 30-Foot Drop as part of the Information Linkages and Capacity Building grants 2018 to 2019. Housekeeping. Unfortunately, we don't have the resources to monitor all of our live stream sessions. So if you want to ask any questions, just head over to our website, which is www.30footdrop.com.au/live, and there's a chat box in there where you can send us any questions you may have. So tonight we'll be covering a lot of information in a short period, so we recommend that you guys, if you can, just minimize any distractions that may be around you so you can hear all of what we have to say. Please make sure as well that 30-Foot Drop is tagged in any social media posts done about tonight. That would be awesome. We'll also be recording this session, so if you wanted to watch it later, then you can find it on the website and watch it again, or find it on YouTube or Facebook. Okay. All the resources that we'll be talking about tonight will also be on the website, so if you wanted to look up any of the resources or look for more information on certain topics, that will also be on the website. And at the end of the webinar there's a survey. If you guys could please fill that out, that would be great. This just helps us with getting to know the feedback from you guys, and as well, if you'd like to add your email address, we can keep you in touch with any future programs that we might be running. Okay, your Wise Monkey, I'm Lisa, and find my thing. Sorry. Okay, I'm here no evil. Just by looking at me, you probably can't tell what I may suffer from. Through me, you'll realise that you will hear no evil about impairment. My story is definitely a more hidden one. At the age of 8, I was diagnosed with mild dyslexia. Teachers used to hit me on the head, yell at me and read out my low marks. Why don't you understand? What's wrong with you? Making me feel completely dumb and unworthy. But despite these challenges growing up, this only made me more determined to succeed and prove these teachers wrong. I have multiple diplomas in the arts field, one in counselling, and currently run my own photography business. So yeah, don't let dyslexia or anyone stop you from doing what you want to do in life. The other Wise Monkey, Ben, will be here to help out sometime if I need him. But the third monkey, who do we think this is? You guessed it, it's you. The aim of today's workshop is to turn you into that wise monkey. You will begin on a journey of realising that, impairment or not, we are all human and deserve to be acknowledged and treated the same as anyone else. Outline and method. So how are we going to get you started on the path of the wise monkey? Well, there is a lot to learn about people with impairment and their potential impact on your business. First, we are going to examine the size of the market segment and what people with impairment represent, and explain who they are and their real potential and their potential customer base. Then we'll examine the potential impacts they can have on your business, both positives and negatives. After covering all of this good stuff, we'll finish off with an open forum. So this is time where you can ask questions before wrapping up for the night. So how are we going to cover all this? What will our teaching method be? The answer is fun, experience, and open, honest discussion. So once again, if you have any questions, even if they're not related to the topics we're talking about tonight, just ask away. You'll notice that there's very little written content on the slides, and that is because we are all here to interact with each other. And once again, if you have any questions, just head over to www.30footdrop.com.au/live, and there's a chat box where you can type in the questions. Terminology review. To reduce confusion and ensure understanding, we want to review some terminologies that we will be discussing in this session. Okay, first up is the difference between disability and impairment. An impairment is an injury, illness, or congenital condition that causes or is likely to cause a loss of difference of physiological and psychological function. In short, your impairment is your medical diagnosis. So my medical diagnosis is mild dyslexia. A disability, on the other hand, is the loss or limitation of opportunities to take part in society on an equal level with others due to social and environmental barriers. It is, as the word implies, something that makes you unable to access or participate in something. So for me, having dyslexia, too much wording or stylized script on a subject can make it hard for people like me with dyslexia to understand and get the right information. So potentially businesses could be missing out on certain people like me that may not be able to understand what the messages they're trying to get across. So it's important that things are clear so that we can do what we need to do with your business. Okay, so the next is access versus inclusion. Access refers to the removal or reduction of barriers, physical, to make preparation in the activities and functions of the community. At its core, access focuses a lot on the physical world around us and is easily assessed by a checklist. Inclusion is a more physiological state of being and is the process whereby every person, irrespective of their age, disability, gender, religion, sexual preference, or nationality, who wishes to and can participate fully in all aspects of an activity or service in the same way everyone else does. Hopefully this all makes sense to everyone. And if you have any questions, just head over to the chat box and ask away. Okay, next is recognizing your target market. Let's get into the good stuff of this webinar. Oh. Have I gone too far?
Yes, you have. Go back.
Sorry.
And back. And back. There you go.
Okay, so women's sportswear. Here's a business idea. Ignore a potential market. That's what many sports and athletic related businesses did until they realized in the mid 1990s that they had been passing on a goldmine. Women. Yes, you know half of the population that half of the population that some thought should just be playing with Barbie dolls and prams. Well, in the 1990s was a turning point for the NBC's 1996 Summer Olympic Games coverage. They targeted women much more than previously, and many more female-orientated sports leagues emerged, as well as apparel and equipment lines. Imagine that, women would actually be interested in doing the same thing as other humans, such as sports. Well, many businesses once again could many businesses once again be ignoring and missing out on all the other potential markets? Consider this, for example, a population that has clear persistent needs that are not being adequately fulfilled. This population spans the world. This population is growing and includes very motivated customers. And since this population is currently being underserved and misunderstood, many businesses are missing out, and many customers would be very grateful and loyal for these opportunities to take part in your business. Now, this population we speak of has an estimated disposable income of 54 million Australia-wide and growing. Also consider how margins are always tight, and that finding a new and neglected population can boost your business and make everyone happy. So what is this population? Here it is. This is the Australian population, all 100%. And Ben assures me that he's counted 100 people there. So there is approximately 5% of Australian population living with a severe or profound impairment. These are people who require assistance or have difficulty with mobility and communication or self-care. Is your business missing out already on this 5%? So add to this 5% another 4% of the population who are unpaid primary caregivers of these people with impairment. You now have 9% of the population potentially missing out on some services. So that's a fair share, and it doesn't even include families and friends who accompany this 9%. You may ask, if it is such a big market share, then surely they are already being served. Aren't there items and services events such as the Paralympic Games for every 4 years for people with disabilities? That may be a bit like saying to women who wanted to play sports in the 1970s, yeah, but don't you have hopscotch? While some businesses do seem to understand the market, a lot of people don't. Research. Is that just where our research? So research. Deloitte and the Australian Human Rights Commission released a report in February 2017 called the Missing Out Report, the business case for customer diversity. And in it they presented their research findings about the missed opportunities that occur when businesses do not extend their values and fairness equally and respect the diverse customer bases. This research covered the diversity areas of gender equality, marriage equality, people with impairment, age, cultural diversity, and practicing noticeable faith. It is well worth reading and can be found on our digital library on our website. So if you want to have a look at that, head over to www.30footdrop.com.au and you will just need to go into the library, resource library. Okay, some graphs here. As a customer over the last 12 months, I have often found that organisations do not provide the products and services I need. So 35% said yes and 27% said no. So more people with an impairment are finding that often places do not provide the services that they need. As a customer over the last 12 months, I have usually engaged with organisations with fear or rejection or embarrassment because of a personal characteristic.
So that's people with impairment saying yes, and that's people without impairment.
Okay. So people with impairment saying yes, 26%, and people without impairment, 14% saying no. Saying yes. I think over a quarter of people with impairment usually have a fear of rejection and embarrassment when interacting with the business. So that's a lot of scared customers. And do scared customers spend well? No. So graph 3. As a customer over the last 12 months, I was often treated less favourably than other customers based on a particular characteristic. So impairment, disability is the top, and non-impairment is the bottom. So over 1 in 3 people with impairment often get treated less favourably. As a customer over the last 12 months, I've experienced discrimination by 1 or more organisations. The last one shocked us monkeys the most, getting discriminated against by 1 or more organisation. Just terrible. So that's 30% of people feeling discriminated against, which is not very nice at all. As you can see, these stats show that there is definitely a market that is not having their needs met. Next, let's have a look at who this market share is and who is behind these stats. Yeah. Excuse me for a minute. Oh, okay. So who are people with impairment? People with impairment are people just like us. We are part of the community and we are no different. We have passions, loves and families. We purchase consumer goods like food, clothing and cars. We go to the movies, we go out for dinner, we go on holidays. In short, people with impairment are active contributors to the community and the economy. As a result, we represent a market share to businesses and organisations. Because we are a market share, we are able to impact your organisation, and how we do that is up to you. So, potential impacts. Let's have a look at some of the potential impacts and how they can affect how people with impairment, Let's have a look at some of the impacts people with impairment can have on your business. Only a minority. When it comes to minorities, people can often say, it's only a minority. Isn't there enough of them to make a difference? There isn't enough of them to make a difference. As discussed earlier, we can safely say it's about 9% of the population. At least 9% of the population. What research has found is that people with impairment are a decisive and influential minority. So, I'm going to hand you over to Ben to do some of the rest. Cool. Thank you for sitting with me.
And quick teams change. Alrighty, so we're going to have a look through some of the stats, which are coming once again from the Missing Out report by Deloitte. And these are showing the decisive and influential nature of this minority of the population. So, first up, let's discuss about ceasing transactions. Okay, now, sorry, I just got to get my notes in the right place. There we are. Ceasing transactions. Purchasing power is always in the hands of customers, and when people don't get what they want, either in terms of product or service, they cease the transaction. Now, a ceased transaction is always a loss in business, because by the time you manage to get a customer to the point where they're thinking about actually purchasing a goods or services off of you, you've already invested so much into getting them to that place, whether it be through marketing, staffing, building rent, insurances, all of these things. These are all investments that you're making in order to draw your customers in. When the customer ceases the transaction, you've lost that investment you've made. It's an interesting concept to think about, isn't it? So, as I said, we're going to look at some stats from the Missing Out report. And they actually had a look at this very closely, but they also added 2 other factors, okay, beyond the idea of actually getting the goods and services that they want. And these are respect and fairness. So first up, they had a look at fairness. So the question was, as a customer over the last 12 months, I have ceased completion of a transaction because I felt that I was not being treated fairly. Now, people without an impairment, that was 18%. Those with an impairment, that jumps up to 29%. And then we have a look at the respect, and it's a very similar result, where people with impairment, 30% of people are ceasing transactions because they felt that they're not being treated with respect. Now, if the needs of these populations, of this particular population, was already being met, these numbers would be comparable, okay? Because, I mean, we all, at times, cease transactions. We do, but why is it happening more often for people with impairment? Because our needs aren't being met. I'd like to look further at some of the other ones, because more than just walking away from a sale, people with impairment are actually twice as likely, as compared to the rest of the population, to actually dissuade others from using a product or service that has a negative diversity reputation. Okay? Twice as likely. I mean, you look at these stats, 26% compared to 13%. Okay? So not only are we more likely to walk away when we're not getting what we need in the sense of goods, services, fairness and respect, we're also more likely to actually drive others away. Okay? This means that if your business does not already put forth a culture of accessibility and inclusiveness, you're probably already being negatively impacted. Scary thought, isn't it? Now, I have been asked in the past whether supporting diversity in business can actually have an adverse effect. Can it drive your current customer base away? Can it, a lot of people who've been in business for a long time, they have their pool of repeat customers. And repeat customers and loyal customers are gold. They really are. But, what happens when you start to actually increase your diversity within your business? Will it drive them away? Well, they examined this in the report as well. And what they found is that only 12% of people are negatively affected by a positive diversity reputation. Okay? 12%. Whereas 58% of people are positively impacted. They're more likely to use your business because you are diverse. You extend the values of fairness and respect, of inclusion. Now, this stat itself, it is not impairment specific. Unfortunately, I couldn't actually get a hold of the impairment specific. But it also is quite telling as well, because the stat involves so many divisive diversity issues in there, okay? Because it's not just people with impairment. It's also looking at other ones such as gender and marriage equality, people who openly... sorry, let me start that again. So cultural diversity, older people, gender and marriage equality, open displays of faith and religion. These can be really divisive issues within our society. Yet, it shows here that less people... So, as Lisa was saying earlier, we can safely say it's at least 9% of the people in the market who are going to require accessible goods and services. But, of course, that's not actually including the friends and families that actually go with these people, okay? Often you're looking at an average party size of around 2.5. Okay, so suddenly this 9% market, safe number, 9%, suddenly turns into, you're looking more at around 25%. Okay? So you may lose 12%, but you're opening yourself up to so much more. So much more. And unfortunately, that's business. We make decisions. Some of our customers may not agree with them, but we make the decisions that are going to be better for us in the long run. And I think you'll find, and I hope you're seeing, that this is really one of those decisions. So to finish this section off, I just want to read the most relevant key finding from this report, okay? And I love it because it puts it so well, okay? Customers with an impairment are 3 times more likely to avoid an organisation and twice as likely to dissuade others because of an organisation's negative diversity reputation. As I said before, if your business is not actually extending these values and becoming accessible, becoming inclusive, being fair, respectful, you're already being negatively impacted. Okay, it's like having an anchor to holding you back, holding a boat back when you're trying to paddle. Okay, let's get rid of that anchor. So, we've looked at the negative and how this market segment can actually negatively impact your business. Let's have a look at a positive impact, and that is ethical consumerism. Now, ethical consumerism, it's a tricky one, and I'll actually explain what it is so that I don't lose you along the way, okay? Ethical consumerism, it's actually a form of political activism, okay? And it's based on the ideas that purchasers in the markets consume not only the goods, but also implicitly embrace the process used to produce them, okay? So think about that. You're putting a value on how your product is made, what your company stands for. Okay, that's ethical consumerism. So by choosing certain products over others, or even whether to purchase at all, consumers can embrace or reject certain or particular environmental and labour practices and make other value-based claims, okay, on ethical values that they may hold. So exercising choice in this way actually creates incentives for producers, for businesses, okay? Because it incentivizes you to actually conform to consumer values, to your customer base's values. As we saw earlier, 58% of the population are positively impacted by diversity, a good diversity reputation. Okay, that's ethical consumerism. So, if you think about it, there have been many successful campaigns actually waged by ethical consumerism movements, okay? Loads, and here's just a few, okay? Dolphin-free tuna, foods that are free from GMOs, organic foods, okay? Sweatshop-free clothing, fair trade coffee, cosmetic products free from animal testing, and conflict-free diamonds. These are all products that have an ethical consumerism component to them. People will go out of their way to buy them and to purchase them and look for them and find them because they conform with their values. Okay? Diversity is a value. And it's a large value. It's a value of a lot of the population. So, let's have a look at an example, okay, that applies to impairment that's actually in use today, that's actually being successfully used by 2 very large companies. It's called the Quiet Hour program. Okay, it was piloted by Coles, and then they spread it to a lot of Australia, and now Woolworths has also adopted it. Okay, now I love looking at big companies like this because big companies are beholden to their shareholders. Okay, they need to make a profit. Their decisions are all scrutinised, and they have the resources to be able to really delve deep into decisions to figure out whether it's a good idea or not. Okay, they are not going to do something. They're not going to pilot something and then roll it out all over Australia unless it has a positive bottom line impact. So what is the Quiet Hour? Let me explain. Some impairments make people hyper aware of their surroundings, okay? And this makes activities such as going to the supermarket very challenging and very stressful. Okay, I'm one of those. Okay, post-traumatic stress, when it gets triggered, I become hyper-aware. Okay, being in a crowded area is horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Lisa, who was on before, her son has been diagnosed with ADHD. Very similar. Taking him to the supermarket is a harrowing experience because there are so many distractions, there's so much stimuli. Okay? It makes things really, really hard. So, Coles and Woolworths have looked at this and have worked together with consumer groups and have actually come up with, as I said, the quiet hour. And that is that every Tuesday between 10:30am and 11:30am, the store lighting is dimmed by 50%. The radio is switched off, register and scanner volumes are reduced to their lowest level, trolley collection is stopped, and roll cages are removed from the floor. Okay. Announcements are also stopped, except in the case of emergencies, of course. Free fruit is offered at customer service, and additional team members are available to help and support customers. It's an amazing initiative. It really is. It makes it so that people like myself and others like me, we can actually go to the supermarket whilst in a bad state, whilst being hyper aware, and be able to do our supermarket shopping and not be completely exhausted by it. It's a great initiative. Now, the thing is like I said, this is Coles and Woolworths. They're not going to do something that's going to adversely affect their overall margins. I mean, yes, I am a cynical bastard, but that's business. So why did they do it? Well, if you search the internet for the quiet hour for Coles, you'll see that when it was introduced and it was piloted and it was spread, okay, the press that people got was everywhere. Okay, it was in all the major publications, it was on morning TV, it was everywhere. Okay, that increased their ethical reputation, which made more people feel better about choosing Coles or Woolworths in comparison to the rest of their things. Sorry, we've just had the volume on a live stream that we've got to make sure that our live stream's working turned up. Fun and games. Hey, look, we'll probably get this sorted out sometime in the next 6 months. But look, it's affected consumers. It's made them want to go. It's also made those with the disabilities, with the impairments, actually want to recommend Coles and Woolworths as a result. Okay, it has had a positive impact all around. We should follow the lead. Okay, that's how this can have a positive impact. It may take a slight bit of investment to begin with, although if you watch any of the other webinars, you will very quickly realise that there are some ways of getting funding that you may not have thought of before. Okay, but like any business decision, it's scary to start with, but let's give it a go. So that's the information that we have for tonight. What we're going to do is I am going to do a open forum session. Now, what we're going to do during the open forum session is I am going to give our lovely viewers until 6:40 to enter questions into the chat box. And at which point I will answer any questions you have. Now, remember, these do not have to be related to what we are doing today. Open, honest conversations, okay? If you want to know why my hands are like dog paws, go for it. If you want to know why I've got such an awesome moustache, the secret is you've got to break your neck to do it. No, I'm joking. Ask away, okay? So if you want to interact with us, if you want to ask any questions, please head to www.30footdrop.com.au/live. Okay, there you will find the chat box, enter the questions. Like I said, anything and everything. Okay, chat to you in about 5. And we're back. Okay, so looks like I have done an amazing job and nobody had any questions for me here on the 30-foot drop live page. So, without, with that, I just want to say thank you very much for watching. I really hope you guys have gotten something out of it. If you could please take a moment to fill out the survey, okay, at the 30footdrop.com.au/live. And if you scroll down, you'll find some buttons. This is the webinar 3 post survey. 6 questions, 30 seconds, guys. It's all it takes. It's going to help us out so much. And if you enjoyed my content and Lisa's content and some of the stuff we're doing, please give us a follow on the socials, write us a review, share us, let other people know. Okay? If you know other people who are looking at starting a business or trying to figure out what direction to take their market now, share this with them. Let's get the word around, okay? Because this is information about how you, as a business owner or as an executive at a business, can really help to make your business more profitable. Look after yourselves, look after each other.